Hey guys, my name is Bushra Gijam and today we are here with Charlie for another episode of our Nutbox podcast. Hi Charlie.
Hi Bushra.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm great.
Are you excited for this?
Very.
Okay, so my first question is, which is like the most important question for me, why did you agree to do this?
Because I think I do have a lot to say about this. I think I'm quite passionate about the whole situation, to be honest.
So what are you doing right now?
In terms of...
Yeah, like college?
Yeah, I'm in
basically.
college right now. I'm in A-levels and I'm doing English literature, history and classical civilization.
Wait, hold on. English literature,
English literature,
history.
classical civilization, ancient history.
Wow, why? It's a good why, by the way.
It is. Well, actually, I didn't know that I liked these things. I was disadvantaged before I even got to go to college, and I didn't really have many choices. It took a long time to figure out what I liked, and I liked history and literature. Classics is the perfect mix of history and literature, so it was just...
So why do you say disadvantaged?
In lockdown, there was an issue with postcodes, where people from certain postcodes would have their GCSEs impacted because of their wealth status or parents' income. Yeah, I come from a poor area, so at the time the first run of grades, mine were very low, and then they revised this to hopefully like even the playing field, although that's questionable whether they actually did. But for me, at that point, all my teachers had left. I had no one to support me, and they just kept the grades that were the first before the revision.
Okay.
So I ended up, my grade 8 in history dropped to a grade 4, and all of my higher grades from 6s and 7s dropped to 4s and 5s, which meant I couldn't get onto the courses that I wanted to.
Okay.
Except for science, for some reason, because I was on average, pretty much. So those didn't change. Because of that, when I was going to college, I really wanted to do literature and history, and they all said no. They said you can't, you're not good at it because of your grades. So I was advised to go into science, and my first year of college I failed because I did science. I did chemistry, biology.
Which is something that you didn't want to do. So who advised you to do science?
Teachers. In the interview, I was advised, I did mention, I'm not sure, but I'd like to do history really, but they said you don't have the grades, we can't.
See, here's the issue. Here's where I see the issue. Everyone's advising you to do something based on your grades that have been affected by the way that the system has been created. Instead of them, I mean, I'm definitely sure that they have, like, you've got other options, which is like redoing it, maybe like going into an internship, an apprenticeship. I don't know.
At that point, the school that I was in, they didn't offer many options. So because at first they said you can go into media or nothing, because we only want you to do media. So I wasn't given many options. My only other option that I could think of was college, a different college, and A-level, which seems to be the standard path.
So why do you think you haven't been given that many options?
Well, in the final assembly that I had in the school that I had, they gave us the pathways only for what they wanted to provide. So, which was media, and instead of giving proper support for other colleges, they just, if you weren't going the pathway that they wanted you to, they didn't support you in finding the college that you wanted or the courses that you wanted. It was very difficult for me.
Okay, so you failed your science.
I did. I failed my first year of college.
You failed your first year of college. Who do you hold accountable for, like, who would you blame that on?
I would honestly say my progress tutor at the time.
Right, okay.
Because I was doing everything I could. You can only do so much when you don't really like the subject and you're not very good at it. I spent the whole Christmas holiday locked in my room revising. I had a timetable of about 8 hours a day, pure revision just for science, and I still failed.
So, okay, you said you're a progress tutor. Would you not blame, and this is me asking, this is not me telling you to say yes, Bushra, you're correct, but would you not blame your school for not guiding you the right way and kind of putting you under pressure to pick science or media?
I would to an extent, definitely, but you have to understand that a lot of the people that were advising me knew nothing about me aside from what was on a piece of paper. They didn't fully understand because they weren't there to understand. The people that were there to understand had gone. It was hard to explain every single time what was going on to several people at a time, getting different advice of you should go straight to work or you should follow our path, and if you don't follow our path, we can't help you, you're going to have to go to someone else. And trying to find someone else, it was hard to blame one person or college or institution because I went to so many and they had nothing to go off except a piece of paper.
That is really sad. That is really, really sad. Okay, so who do you feel like, you said the people that were advising me only knew so much. Where do you think like we're going wrong? Like, where do you think school is going wrong? Where do you think the system, like basically the whole entire country is going wrong? Do you know what I'm saying? Where do we think we're going wrong?
They don't treat teenagers or kids like individuals. We're numbers. We're numbers for attendance and we're numbers for grades. We're no longer people with what we want, with passions and dreams and wants. So my wants were completely ignored just based on figures, numbers. I wasn't considered an individual, I was just considered one of a collective to group.
Wow, yeah.
Into a certain thing that I just didn't fit into.
Do you feel like the Notbox campaign has made you feel any different, or do you think it hasn't really provided you with many opportunities, or hasn't reached your expectation?
I think it has. I think if I'd have known before, I mean, I'm glad because college was the path for me, but not in those subjects. So right now, I'm very, very happy with my choices. I plan to go to university.
Okay, cool.
I am an academic, but not in sciences. If I had known at the time, maybe that there was apprenticeships available or different ways to get into certain sectors instead of one pathway that college was showing me or what other people were advising me. I wish I had what I suppose this is providing, where it's sort of like one place to get more information instead of trying to find it myself with nothing.
What do you say providing? What are we providing?
I presumed like information about where you can go into different pathways and how you can get from high school to wherever you want to go.
Okay, so do you feel like who are you working with closely right now? Is it Ryan or Victoria?
Victoria.
Okay, and this is not to promote. Well, it is to promote the RFF, but this podcast is not solely just to promote RFF and this stuff and how great they are, but this is a way to compare or show educational institutions or, you know, employers how you should really be dealing with young people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you went back to your college right now or your school, and you spoke to the advisors, the career advisors or your tutors, what's one thing that you tell them to do differently, or what's one thing that you tell them to take from RFF, the staff at RFF? Make it 3 actually.
Yeah, okay. To listen, definitely, because they didn't. Just do research at least, I think, because with the RFF they do understand other things, like other pathways and other situations, but there wasn't much understanding with my college. There wasn't any research done really. I think it was done quite poorly for any sort of support. That was very lacking. I can't really think of a third one, but those two definitely.
Okay, cool. We can always come back to that. What are your hopes? What are your hopes for the remaining of this campaign? What do you want this campaign to do more of, or what would you like to see this campaign helping young people with?
I think open the view. I think it's too narrow with businesses especially, of how people should be treated or advised, or when I was doing media, I didn't know the other career paths to get into media, except for the one college was providing. And as far as I was aware, the businesses weren't going to let me in or provide me with an option, because it was just not, I felt at the time, not accessible or not known to be accessible for people like me or my age at the time.
What do you feel like the biggest hindrance or the biggest barrier is for young people at this point?
I think at this point, support, the real lack of it, and the lack of encouragement for certain things, because the whole life from primary school, you're told to do a certain thing. You're going to do your SATs, you're going to go to high school, you're going to go to college, you're going to go to university. That's how it's going to be. There's no encouragement fully for, you could do this, you could do that. You want to pursue this dream, then this is how you go about it. Here are your options. It's very narrow, very just unhelpful at times.
So from my understanding, you are basically telling me that young people are put into a box and they're not encouraged to fail and learn, and basically, or just follow their true passion because of, you know, a few mistakes that they've made in school, and because they haven't got the grades, or maybe because they were able to get the grades but just the system was so corrupt that they didn't get to achieve what they could achieve.
I think definitely with disadvantaged areas, as they call them, it's hard to get opportunities that were given to other people. It was actually quite eye-opening. I went on a summer camp.
I'm getting pins and needles. I'm so sorry. Carry on, I'm sorry. This, it's up to here. Like, oh, carry on, sorry.
I went to a summer camp, and a lot of the kids there were private school children, and they were my age. And they were going, it was so curious. During lockdown, I got all A stars, and I was buzzing. And I just thought, I lost. I had to go through so much. I had to go through a lot of frustration, hardship, crying, you know, this isolation to study for something I wasn't good at. All of this just for you to get it handed to you, even though this person said themselves. I was predicted C's and I got A stars, and it was wonderful. And that didn't change for them, but it changed for me.
Yeah.
So disadvantaged areas are targeted, and although they say they're not, they are.
Of course they are.
And the amount of actual opportunities for children in better off areas or better off schools, like private schools or grammar schools, is insane compared to what I was given. I was blown away by how much they were offered. And
tell me something that they were offered that made you shocked you.
So classical societies it's obviously a very niche subject, and it's quite a posh subject. It's not very common. They were all offered Latin tutoring and ancient Greek, which I had never heard of. They were offered chances to go to Greece, go to Rome, and they went to go see the Pergamon in Berlin. They got all of this extra knowledge I never got. They were offered, obviously in the lifestyle that they had, they got to go to orchestras and see how classical instruments were. This was all amazing to me. They got all these textbooks that I'd never heard of. They got all these resources I never even considered, and it just showed to me, well, I managed to get hold of them just because I've known about them now, because of this year. But if I had not have known about them, I don't know, because I'm going to uni. So there are going to be people there that had the things that I didn't, and I would have to catch up in a sense. The fact that I am boxed as a disadvantaged person for no reason except for my parents' income, that took away opportunities that everyone else, or not everyone else, but the few that had the money to got, really shocked me.
If you had to blame someone for all of this, you not being exposed or introduced to all these resources, who would you blame?
I'm not entirely sure because there was so many people involved. There was a chance every step of the way for someone to stand up and say something. There was a chance. Obviously, I understand that to an extent people are powerless because of money. I understand that sometimes these can't be offered because how can you if you can't execute it? You know, there's the exposure, I suppose, is limited. Yeah.
Okay, and
I would say for a lot of young people, the fear of failure is so immense. Yeah, the fear of failure, if you don't get this, you fail. If you ever seen that quote that they have in every school, where it's like, if you don't have a pen, you can't write. If you can't write, you don't take notes. If you don't take notes, you don't pass the exam. If you don't pass the exam, you don't go to college. If you don't go to college, you end up homeless. And if you end up homeless, you have no life and you end up dead.
how do you feel about it?
Frustrated.
Do you believe in that?
No,
Why?
not at all, because failure is just redirection.
Yes, Charlie, come in with that wisdom, girl.
If
Go
I
on.
didn't fail my sciences, I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't be learning what I want to learn, and I wouldn't be. When I got my results back from A level, it was June, my first year. I had to run to the neighbouring college
Yeah.
and beg in tears, beg the head teacher to let me in, and they put me on trial for 6 weeks to see if I would really be good enough.
Yeah.
And I was so afraid of failure, but I had to learn, if you fail, it's okay, because you failed then. If you fail now, there's still going to be another way. And I didn't fail, but I learned through failure previously that it's okay, you know. You're always going to be directed down the right path, but you
I
need
love
to
that.
fail first.
I love that. You literally, you made my day with that statement. Failure is redirection. That is such a beautiful way to summarize what failure is. Wow, yeah. Because I believe in the same thing, but I've never thought about it or had anyone explain it the way that you have in like a few words, which is mad. That is sick. Okay, so what do you want to do in the future? What's your goal?
Well, I hope to pursue further education, and I actually hope that I can either go into writing or archives. Because obviously working with archives previously, I found like I actually really enjoy
Did you do it with the
the
Central
archives.
Library?
I did, yeah.
Oh, that's
I did.
sick!
Yeah, and the archives that I would like to work in is possibly like ancient history archives.
Oh.
So that opens up Egyptians, Romans, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or writing about those things.
Okay.
Because this is really something I really love, and I wouldn't have found it if I didn't fail.
And who were you working with at Central?
Rio Ferdinand.
Rio Ferdinand, no, which lady? There's
Victoria.
no, the
Oh.
lady that works at
I think she was called Maya.
Maya, yeah. So did you get the opportunity from RFF, yeah? So you got this opportunity?
Yeah, I got exposed to it, yeah.
Okay, and basically because you got exposed to it and they hooked you up with Central Library and you got the experience, you now know what you're passionate about and what you want to do for the future.
Yeah.
That is sick. Do you feel like that's the right way of going on about like finding your dream job?
I think, honestly, that could change. If you asked me 5 years from now what my dream could be, it could be different.
No, of course,
Because again, with experience comes learning about yourself and what you want. So I think for now, this is something I really do want to pursue.
That is so cool. I'm so happy for you. Okay, and then if you had to summarize your college or career journey or career experience in 3 words right now, what would these 3 words be? And they can be negative or positive.
Chaotic.
Okay, cool.
Interesting.
Okay.
And
Chaos is always interesting.
it is always
Sure.
interesting. It is, and I think just empowering,
Why empowering?
because I had to do a lot of it myself to an extent, yes. But when you get there, or when you even take one step in the right direction, it feels like you can take on the world.
Oof. Yes, she's on it. This girl. You know what? I never actually knew that like you Wow, you're a very, very wise person.
Thank you.
Oh my god, you're so open-minded. You're so encouraged by your own self. You're so empowered by your own power. And that is something to admire. Not many people are like that. And not many young people are like that as well. Okay, if you had to describe how you would want your future to look like in 5 to 10 years time, what would the 3 words be?
I would. I don't know if I can summarize it in 3 words, but I can definitely explain it.
Go on, explain it in a sentence for me.
I'd want my children to have what I couldn't.
Okay.
I'd want, in the future, my children to be able to still have failures because they're only natural,
Yeah.
but be guided.
Direction.
Yeah, but be guided better, because those failures that I had weren't easy.
Yeah.
And I had the actual only advice I had when I failed was to work at Pets at Home. They said, in the future, if you kept working as hard as you are, you could eventually work at Pets at Home.
Is this a joke?
No, it's not.
And who's that advice from?
2 advisors. One was my progress tutor, and the other was a careers advisor.
Wait, who was that advice from? A progress tutor and a careers advisor? That is messed up.
Yeah. So to then, I feel like in the future, the discouragement that might come from that hopefully won't be as prominent. Because I almost did quit. I
Oh,
almost
really?
thought, I can't do college. I'm not clearly an academic. I'm clearly not good for this sector. I need to go find something else quick because I haven't got much time or much choice.
Do you feel like people's lack of confidence,
Yes.
it comes from other people rather than themselves?
I think it's the boxing. I think it's that we need to group you in a place. A failure or someone who's going to achieve what we want you to achieve. It's all about boxing people.
It's my way or the highway.
Yeah, it's statistics. It's the numbers. It's the taking away from individual and turning them into numbers.
Oh, that's so annoying. Oh, this is getting me so annoyed.
I hope that my children in the future
Cool.
never have to experience it the way I experienced it.
Yeah.
Should I say.
Okay, if you had to describe this interview in 3 words or in a word, what would it be? Or what
Marvellous.
would it be? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd
great.
say it's not very often that I get to talk about things like this
Mm.
because there is a stigma if you achieve academically that you can't have struggled or found some sort of hardship to get to where you are.
Yeah.
There is a blanket over it in a sense.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much, Charlie. It's honestly been such a pleasure talking to you. I've learned so much about you, and I've learned so much about the world through you. Yeah, this interview has been an eye opener on so many different things. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you.